Frelick joins us from Washington, D.C. He is the director of Human Rights Watch refugee program. Thanks so much for joining us. Is this a fair and responsible way to try to mitigate the refugee crisis right now in Greece?
But we have to look at it with a certain degree of skepticism. When you have a refugee situation that's highly coercive and people don't have free choices, then to dangle money in front of them doesn't necessarily mean that they're making an informed, voluntary decision to go back to their home countries. We've seen this with Afghan refugees in Pakistan, Somali refugees in Kenya, Eritreans and Sudanese in Israel, where people don't really have a choice whether to stay or go. They're not informed about what awaits them in the countries to which they would be returned or transferred. And at the end of the day, when they've essentially given up hope, they accept the money, which quote unquote makes this voluntary, but that's not necessarily the case. On the other hand, if someone really is making a free choice and they have options available to them and they're not being coerced, then certainly a grant to help people to repatriate and reintegrate is perfectly fine. But we just have to really be sure that people that have a fear of persecution are not taking this out of desperation because they feel they have no other choices and they're going to be deported in any case.
Right. And I mean, you're saying cynically, these countries are creating that further desperation to try to ease or push these already desperate people into taking up this offer. But I mean, still, though, how many people, given the situation in Greece, and particularly the overcrowding of these camps, how many people would you expect to take up this offer?
Well, I was just in Lesbos last week. I only returned recently, and the camp, the Moria camp there, which was designed for 3,000 people, has about 20,000 at the moment. Greece has suspended the lodging of asylum claims in the country and has indicated that they are wanting to return people without registering them to their countries of origin or to the places from which they came. This indicates a complete disavowal of basic refugee principles, refugee protection principles that have been in place since the end of World War II, certainly. The right to seek asylum, the right not to be returned to a place where you fear persecution. And so unless Greece really makes it clear that it's going to allow people to lodge asylum claims and that it's not going to be pushing them back, and we are seeing evidence that in fact they are pushing people back right now, this offer of money smacks of something that is just trying to salve the conscience of the EU while they are looking the other way to the brutal pushbacks that are occurring on the Greek-Turkey border.
Okay. Let me ask you then about the amount itself, $2,225. How would they come to, I mean, that specific of a number, and what kind of compensation is it for people, you know, some of whom have spent up to 10,000 euros trying to make this miserable journey just to get to an EU country?
Yeah, but a lot of the refugees have exhausted, all of their money. They are looking at a sum like that as something that, is going to, as I say, it's dangling baubles in front of their eyes. And if they feel hopeless, if they feel they don't have a fair chance to be able to present their asylum claims, and to be able to remain in dignity, if they are fearful of being shoved together in these dense, overcrowded, unhygienic places that are breeding grounds for disease, let's be honest. People are desperate to get out of that situation. And so that sum of money is going to look very appealing to people who feel that they aren't having any choice to really be protected anyway, and they fear that they're going to be deported in any case, or they're going to be left to die of disease in overcrowded camps. So
okay.
This is the coercive environment in which this offer is being made.
Sure, but let me play the other side here. I mean, what can a country like Greece, that faces its own pretty serious economic constraints among its own people, what is a country like Greece really supposed to do with this kind of influx? They're not allowed to let refugees and asylum seekers cross other borders. They're supposed to keep them on Greek territory. This is not a country with many financial options. How is this supposed to be managed realistically?
And Greece should not be expected to manage this by itself. Greece is a member of the European Union, and the union of the 27 other states should be working tirelessly to address the situation in a manageable way, to share the responsibility, to help to decongest these camps so that they don't have outbreaks of disease, and to make sure that refugees are not pawns and that they're treated with humanity and dignity. Greece cannot handle this by itself, and nor should it. Nor should Turkey have to handle the situation by itself either. The international community needs to support countries that are on the front line. And just because of an accident of geography, no country should be left to shoulder the burden of a refugee influx by itself.
Okay, Bill Frelick, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.